In today's video, we'll learn about the lookup transform of SQL Server Integration Services. It is this transform is used when you are loading the data into a table, for example, and you want to validate some of the values in the data set. Let's say it's coming from a file, or you want to add some column according to your schema in the database. This is when this transform is used. It uses a reference data set to validate or add to the data set being loaded. What we will do in our example is we have a file that contains employees data, but instead of a department ID, which we generally use in our database to as a foreign key from the department table, it contains the name of the department. So we will look up the department ID from the department table we have using the department name column value that came in the file. So let's just take a look at the example we'll be using in our database that we have. So as usual, we have our Happy Burger database, which has the table called employee, which is empty right now. It has columns. You can see it has a column department ID, which is the foreign key from the department table. So let's take a look at our department table. So department ID 20 is IT, and then there is some other column also related to that entity. Same way is marketing and human resource, but their ID is the one that we use in our employee table. So when loading the data from our data file, we will match this. If there is a row of the data which has department as IT, we want to add department ID 20 to our data set when inserting into the employee table. For this, I have created a SSDT project, lookup transform, and a blank package that we'll be configuring during this video. So let's start. First of all, we'll add a connection manager for our database, destination database, OLADB. We have this Happy Burger here, so we'll use that. Let's make the name a little better. So this is one of the connection. The other connection we'll use is for the file, that employee data file. It has the data comma separate. It's a small file, but for our purpose this is enough to demonstrate the lookup transform and how it works. So let's make a connection to that file. Let's call it employee data file connection. Browse to the file and click OK, and it has some columns and a few rows here, and you can see it has department names here. Not really the ID, but we need ID in our data set when we are loading into the employees table. So everything else looks fine, and we'll just leave it as is. First row in the file has the column name, so let's click OK, and now get a data flow task. Double click to edit it. Here on the data flow surface, let's choose a source, which will be our flat file implied data file connection that we created earlier. And then let's have a lookup transform, connect this, double click this. It already selected the only flat file connection. These are the columns, so let's just click that. Now lookup transform, we have to configure that. So cache mode, full cache, as you have seen, we don't really have much data here in employee, in the department table, so we'll just have the full cache and it'll be pretty fast. What you do in the partial cache is executed when the lookup transform is executed. This is when the data is cached, but here we'll just have it cached ahead of time. We are using the OLEDB connection manager, not a cache file or something. Here we want to get the reference data set that we'll be using to look up the information. So we can write a query here if you want, or we can just select the table. So let's select the table. It's not really a very big table, and we see that it has 3 columns: department name, department ID. What we'll do, we'll look up department name from the file and get the department ID to add to our data set. Columns. So this is our input columns that are coming from the file, and what we need to do is just match one of these with our reference data set. So we have department. This is what we'll be matching with department name here, and then we will need the department ID. So let's just take a, if you click here and double click, then okay, right click it, edit mapping, so you can see that department from the data file is being matched with the lookup column department name, which is from our department table. We have chosen the full cache, so there is not really much to do anywhere else. One thing I would like to say on the general page is specify how to handle rows with no matching entry. So since it's not a guarantee that all the values in your data file will match with the department names in your database table, let's also give this option in case it happens that there are some rows that don't match. In my case, I will choose redirect rows to no match output. So there will be 2 outputs out of these, out of this transform. One of them will be match output, one of them will be no match. So if the department ID department name did not match with the table, it will be directed to the other output. So let's click OK, and now we need the destination, and we know we want to send the data into our employee table, which is currently blank. So click OK, and let's say employee table. Employee table, this is where it will go. It will ask you what output do you want. I want the matched output. And click OK. Let's do the mapping here. We choose a table where we want to upload this data. Existing data, there is no existing data in our destination table. So let's go to the mapping. MPID is the system generated identity column. So we will leave that alone and just say ignore. First name is F name, L name, and date of birth. Employee status is called active status. Job title, which is employee title, and gender, salary. Department ID is obviously department. It's coming from the lookup, as we saw. And state ID and age, let's just ignore that because that's a computed column. Click OK. So it's still red, cannot be processed because, okay, I think I have seen this error before. So let's right click and go to properties. I think we need this property, always default code page. Let's set it to true, maybe that will fix the error. And default code page, I think is 65,000. Excuse me. So now we only have the external employee out of. Let's go and do this again. Maybe that will remove that. Truncation may occur due to data from state ID with the length. Well, state ID, we can change, sorry, the flat file connection. We can go and preview the data and see that state ID is two characters. So we can change that here. Instead of 50 we can make it 2 because we know this is as much it is. So click OK. Okay, let's first do this. The metadata has changed, so click that. Yes, I will go away. And now if you go to the mapping page once again, it should get rid of this. Okay, job title. Okay, looks like that also has some issue of the size, but this is not an error and it will not really do anything bad, but we should actually look into each column size, but we will not do that in this video. You probably have seen this warning before, but basically all the column sizes should be same or more in the destination table as in the data set that you are loading. So, but here we'll leave it like this. It's not really a showstopper. So now we have directed the rows that match into this just in case you have some unmatched row. We should actually capture those two. So let's do a destination and this. So this will create another destination object. Let's call it employee no match. Okay, and if we drag, so lookup no match output, it automatically put that output. This time it didn't ask me because that was the only one left. There were two outputs. So now if we configure this, first of all, the database connection is Happy Burgers, and table, let's create a new table. So the name will be taken from the task that we have given the name to, and this is what the columns will be from the output. So let's just click OK and go to the mapping. All these columns will be stored along with the department columns value, which will tell us that these departments were not found. Click OK, and it is saying the same thing. So let's go to the properties and true and 65001. So I guess this is what we'll do, and if we run this, we can see the matched employee records will go into our employee table. The ones that don't match will go in a new table that we have created just now. Let's go and take a look at our database. The employee table is blank, and employee no match table has been created and it is blank. Obviously we have not executed the package, so let's just put that here and see if there are any rows get into that. Back to our package, save it, and let's execute it. Okay, that was very quick because it was a small file. So what I see that 9 rows came from this flat file and 1 row went to the employee no match, and the other one, 8 of them remaining rows went to the employee table. So let's check it out. Employee, yes, there are 8 rows and we got the department ID instead of the department name. Now this one, this record did not make it. So this department value must not be in our table. Let's take a look. This is our department table. I see that human resource is there. So, but this is human resources. So it didn't really match with this. Otherwise, if this was human resource, this would have been matched to 40 department ID, and therefore all 9 records in the file would have been added to your employee table. In any case, this was intentional, and I wanted to see if the rows are redirected to no match output. So stop this, and this is it for the lookup transform. There is a few more things that you can play with, such as create a cache connection manager and create a file. So what that does is you can use the same lookup in multiple files, multiple packages. So I hope you learned something, and I appreciate you watching this video. See you next time.